Fatima was a quiet girl who loved to read books and paint pictures. She lived in a small town with her parents and her younger brother, Ali. At school, she was known for her kindness and good grades, but there was one thing that scared her more than anything else: speaking in front of people. One day, her teacher announced that each student would have to give a speech in front of the class. Fatima felt her heart pound and her hands shake. She wished she could disappear. Public speaking had always been her biggest fear. Fatima remembered the last time she had to speak in front of people. It was during a school play. She forgot her lines and stood on stage, frozen, while everyone watched. Since then, the thought of speaking in front of others made her feel sick. But this time, Fatima decided she wanted to change. She wanted to be brave. She wanted to speak confidently in front of her class and not feel afraid. She knew it wouldn't be easy, but she was determined to try. Fatima went home that day and told her parents about the speech. Her mother smiled and said, "You can do it, Fatima. We believe in you." Her father added, "The first step to overcoming fear is to face it." Fatima knew they were right. She had a goal: to give a successful speech. She didn't know how she would do it yet, but she was ready to start her journey. Fatima sat in her room, thinking about her fear of public speaking. She wondered why it scared her so much. She decided to write down her thoughts in a notebook. She wrote about the school play and how embarrassed she felt when she forgot her lines. She remembered how her classmates laughed and how she wished she could run away. As she wrote, she realized that the fear of being laughed at and judged was what made her so afraid. The next day at school, Fatima talked to her best friend, Sarah. "Do you ever feel scared to speak in front of people?" Fatima asked. Sarah nodded. "Yes, I do. It's normal to feel that way. Many people get nervous about public speaking." Fatima felt a bit better knowing she wasn't alone. She decided to talk to her teacher, Mrs. Khan, about her fear. Mrs. Khan was always kind and understanding. "Mrs. Khan, I get very scared when I have to speak in front of people. What should I do?" Fatima asked. Mrs. Khan smiled warmly. "Fatima, it's okay to be scared. The important thing is to understand why you feel that way. Many people are afraid of public speaking because they worry about making mistakes or being judged." Fatima nodded. "That's exactly how I feel." Mrs. Khan continued, "One way to overcome this fear is to practice and prepare. The more you practice, the more confident you'll become. Also, remember that everyone makes mistakes, and that's okay. It's part of learning." That evening, Fatima did some research online. She read about famous people who were once afraid of public speaking, but overcame their fears through practice and determination. She also found tips on how to manage anxiety, such as deep breathing and positive thinking. Fatima felt a sense of hope. She realized that understanding her fear was the first step to overcoming it. She knew it would take time and effort, but she was ready to face her fear head on. Fatima was determined to overcome her fear of public speaking, but she knew she couldn't do it alone. She decided to seek help from people who could guide her through the process. First, she spoke with her teacher, Mrs. Khan. "Mrs. Khan, I want to get better at public speaking. Can you help me?" she asked. Mrs. Khan nodded. Of course, Fatima. One way to improve is to start with small steps. You can practice speaking in front of a mirror or with a few friends. I also recommend joining a public speaking club or workshop. Fatima took Mrs. Khan's advice and signed up for a public speaking workshop at the local community center. The workshop was led by Mr. Ahmed, who was known for his excellent speaking skills. On the first day of the workshop, Fatima was nervous. She walked into the room and saw a group of people who also wanted to improve their public speaking. Mr. Ahmed greeted everyone with a warm smile. Welcome, everyone. Public speaking can be challenging, but with practice, we can all become better speakers, Mr. Ahmed said. Fatima felt a bit more at ease knowing she was not alone. During the workshop, Mr. Ahmed taught them various techniques to improve their speaking skills. He covered topics like organizing a speech, using body language, and managing nerves. Fatima found the exercises helpful, and she started to feel more confident. In addition to the workshop, Fatima began practicing her speech at home. She invited her family to listen and give feedback. Her parents were supportive and offered helpful suggestions. Her younger brother, Ali, even made a funny face to help her practice handling unexpected situations. Fatima also joined a study group with some classmates who were working on their speeches. They practiced together and gave each other constructive feedback. Fatima enjoyed being part of the group and found that speaking in front of others became easier with each practice session. With all this support, Fatima felt more prepared and less afraid. She knew that seeking help was an important step in overcoming her fear. She was grateful for the guidance and encouragement she received from her teacher, Mr. Ahmed, her family, and her friends. Fatima knew that practicing her speech was key to overcoming her fear. She was excited to start, but also a bit anxious. With the help of her workshop and feedback from her family and friends, she began to focus on writing and rehearsing her speech. Fatima chose a topic she was passionate about: the importance of friendship. She spent time researching and organizing her ideas. She wrote a clear introduction, a few main points, and a strong conclusion. She made sure to keep her language simple and her sentences short so that she would feel comfortable delivering them. Fatima practiced her speech every day. She started by speaking in front of a mirror, watching her expressions and body language. She then moved on to practicing in front of her family. Her parents listened attentively and provided helpful feedback. They encouraged her to use more expressive gestures and to speak a bit louder. Next, Fatima practiced in front of a small group of friends. They were supportive and offered constructive criticism. One friend suggested that Fatima add a personal story to make her speech more engaging. Fatima took this advice and included a story about how her own friends had helped her through a tough time. After each practice session, Fatima took notes on what went well and what needed improvement. She worked on her pacing and tried to make her speech sound natural. She practiced using deep breathing techniques to calm her nerves before speaking. To simulate the actual speech experience, Fatima also practiced in front of her class. She volunteered to give a short speech during a class meeting. The practice helped her get used to speaking in front of her classmates and handling any unexpected interruptions. Fatima's confidence grew with each practice session. She felt more prepared and less anxious about her upcoming speech. She knew that preparation was essential and that every bit of practice made her stronger. The day of Fatima's speech had arrived. She woke up feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. She reminded herself of all the practice and preparation she had done. As she got ready for school, she used deep breathing exercises to calm her nerves. At school, Fatima's stomach was still fluttering with butterflies. Her class was buzzing with anticipation for the speeches. She walked into the classroom, and her teacher, Mrs. Khan, greeted her with a reassuring smile. "You'll do great, Fatima," Mrs. Khan said. Fatima waited for her turn. When her name was called, she stood up, took a deep breath, and walked to the front of the room. The classroom seemed so much bigger from up there. Her heart raced, but she remembered the breathing techniques she had learned. She began her speech with a smile. "Good morning, everyone. Today I want to talk about the importance of friendship." Fatima spoke clearly and used the gestures she had practiced. She made eye contact with her classmates and tried to connect with them as she shared her personal story about friendship. As she continued, she noticed that her classmates were listening attentively. Fatima felt a sense of relief and gained more confidence. She managed to stay focused, even when she stumbled over a few words. She took a deep breath, smiled, and continued without letting it affect her. By the end of her speech, Fatima was proud of herself. She had faced her fear and delivered her speech to the best of her ability. Her classmates and teacher clapped for her, and Fatima felt a wave of accomplishment and joy. After the speeches, Mrs. Khan gathered the class and offered feedback. She praised Fatima for her bravery and clear delivery. She also suggested a few areas for improvement, which Fatima took note of. Fatima felt a great sense of achievement. She had faced her fear and succeeded. Her classmates' and teachers' positive feedback boosted her confidence even further. With the first challenge behind her, Fatima knew that she could tackle more challenges in the future. She felt ready to embrace new opportunities and continue growing. The day after Fatima's speech, she felt a mixture of relief and pride. She walked into school with a new sense of confidence. Her classmates and friends congratulated her on her successful speech, and their support made her feel even better. Fatima sat in the classroom, reflecting on how she felt during and after her speech. She remembered the nervousness she had felt before stepping up, but also how proud she was when she finished. She realized that her fear, though strong, had been overcome through preparation and practice. She thought about the moment when she had stumbled over a few words, but managed to keep going. It was a learning experience. Fatima understood that making mistakes was part of the process and did not mean failure. She learned to handle her nerves better and to stay focused even when things didn't go perfectly. After the speech day, Mrs. Khan provided individual feedback to each student. When it was Fatima's turn, Mrs. Khan praised her for her clear speech and good use of body language. She mentioned how Fatima's personal story had made the speech engaging. Mrs. Khan also pointed out a few areas for improvement, such as speaking a bit more slowly and projecting her voice more. Fatima listened carefully and took notes, understanding that feedback was a tool for growth. Fatima felt a surge of confidence. She realized that facing her fear of public speaking had taught her more than just speaking skills. It had also taught her resilience and courage. She felt more comfortable expressing herself and was excited about taking on new challenges. Fatima's family and friends noticed the change in her. They saw her growing more confident and were proud of her achievements. Her parents encouraged her to continue practicing and to embrace new opportunities to speak in public. Fatima decided to share her story with her classmates and other students who were afraid of public speaking. She spoke about her journey, the challenges she faced, and how she overcame them. Her story inspired others to face their fears and to believe in their own abilities. Fatima understood that overcoming her fear of public speaking was not just a personal achievement, but also a way to encourage others. She was excited to continue growing and to take on new challenges with the confidence she had gained. With her successful speech behind her, Fatima felt a renewed sense of confidence. She knew that overcoming her fear of public speaking was just the beginning of her journey toward personal growth and new challenges. Fatima continued to practice public speaking. She volunteered to speak at school events, share presentations, and even participate in a debate club. Each opportunity allowed her to refine her skills and build her confidence further. She learned to handle different types of speaking situations and to adapt her style as needed. Fatima began to see how the skills she had gained from overcoming her fear of public speaking applied to other areas of her life. She approached new challenges with a more positive attitude, knowing that preparation and practice could help her succeed. In class, she actively participated in discussions and presentations. At home, she took on new responsibilities and communicated her ideas more effectively with her family. Fatima realized that facing her fear had empowered her to tackle other challenges with greater ease. Fatima's story of overcoming her fear of public speaking inspired many of her classmates and friends. She shared her experiences and the strategies that helped her with those who were also struggling with similar fears. She encouraged them to practice, seek help, and be patient with themselves. Her classmates started to notice their own improvements and felt motivated to keep working on their public speaking skills. Fatima's willingness to share her journey and support others made her a role model and a source of encouragement in her school community. Fatima's journey taught her that overcoming a fear is not just about achieving a single goal, but also about opening doors to new opportunities. She learned that facing one fear could lead to greater self-confidence and a readiness to embrace future challenges. As she continued to grow, Fatima understood that personal development is an ongoing process. She remained committed to learning and improving, knowing that each experience contributed to her overall growth. Fatima's story was a testament to the power of perseverance and courage. She had faced her fear of public speaking, learned valuable skills, and inspired others along the way. Her journey was just the beginning of many more achievements and experiences to come.